In this video, we're going to practice multiplication with mixed numbers. All right, so if it rains 7 2/3 inches on Thursday, and it rains 7 1/4 times as much on Friday, how much did it rain on Friday? Simplify your answer and write it as a proper fraction or a mixed number. So a mixed number is when we have a whole number and a fraction in our number, okay? And a proper fraction is when the numerator is smaller than the denominator, okay? So that's a proper fraction. So in order to multiply mixed numbers, we first have to turn them into improper fractions, which means that the numerator is going to be bigger than the denominator. So the way that we do that is, so if we're working with 7 2/3, we need to turn that into an improper fraction. You turn it into an improper fraction by first you multiply the whole number, so 7 times the denominator, which is going to be 3, so 7 times 3 is 21, plus the numerator, which is 2, so our numerator is going to be 7 times 3, 21, plus 2 is 23, and we keep our denominator the same. Okay, so our improper fraction for 7 2/3 is 23/3. All right, so then we need to also turn 7 1/4 into an improper fraction. So to do that, you multiply your whole number by the denominator. Okay, so 7 times 4 is 28, plus your numerator, which is 1, so 29. That becomes our numerator. And that stays over the denominator, which is 4. Okay, so these are our improper fractions. All right, so now we look back at the problem. If it rains 7 2/3 inches on Thursday, and it rains 7 1/4 times as much on Friday, how much did it rain on Friday? So we need to multiply these two fractions. All right, so we're going to do 23/3 times 29/4. Okay, and for these, for when you're multiplying fractions, you just multiply across. So 3 times 4 is 12, and 23 times 9. And since I'm working with fractions and we're not focusing on the skill of multiplication, I'm going to use a calculator. So 23 times 29 is 667. Okay, and so then we need to take this improper fraction and simplify it and then write it as a proper fraction or a mixed number. So this is tricky when you're working with such big numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it into a mixed number. So to turn it back into a mixed number, what you do is you figure out, you have to do the division. Okay, so 667 divided by 12. So you could also try to figure out how many times does 12 go into 667 evenly. Okay, so let's see. 667 divided by 12. So our whole number is going to be 55. Okay. And then you actually have to do the division because you need to get the remainders. So 667 divided by 12. Okay, so 12 can't go into 6, but it can go into 66. So 12, 24, 36, 48, 60. So it could go in 5 times. Okay, 12 times 5 is 60. So then you subtract. So that's going to be 6. You bring down the 7. 12 goes into 67 5 times. 12 times 5 we know is 60. So our remainder here is 7. Okay, so our remainder is going to be our top number. So that's our numerator, and our denominator stays the same. So our answer is going to be 55 7/12. That's a lot of steps, but it gets easier as you go. All right, if it rains 3 1/4 inches on Thursday, and it rains 10 2/4 times as much on Friday, How much did it rain on Friday? Simplify your answer and write it as a proper fraction. So again, we need to first turn these numbers into improper fractions. So we're going to take 3 1/4, and we turn that into an improper fraction by multiplying our whole number by the denominator. So 3 times 4 is 12, plus our numerator, which is 1. So that is 13 over 4. Okay, we do the same thing with this one. So 10 2/4, which 2/4 is the same as 1/2. So actually, I'm going to just take a step away from us and go 10 1/2 because they're equivalent fractions. I'm going to do 10 times 2 is 20. Sorry, 10 times 2 is 20, plus 1 is 21. 21 halves, and then I'm going to multiply across. So 13/4 times 21 halves equals, so 4 times 2 is 8, 13 times 21 is 273. Okay, and then we need to get this back to a mixed number or a proper fraction, but it's not going to be proper fraction, so we got to get it to a mixed number. So we're going to divide 273 divided by 8. So just to clarify, these are our steps to multiply mixed numbers. Now we're trying to find our answer as a mixed number. Okay, so 8 can't go into 2, but 8 does go into 27 3 times. 8 times 3 is 24. Okay, and then you bring down the 3. Okay, and 8 goes into 33. Let's see. 3. 8 times 4 is 32. So 8 times 4 is 32. 33 minus 32 is 1. Okay, so we'll put that over here because it's not letting me write there. All right, so our whole number is going to be 34. The remainder is our numerator, and we keep the same denominator. So our answer is 34 1/8. Awesome. All right. It takes Evan 6 1/4 minutes to walk to school every morning. If it takes Diana 3 2/4 times as long to walk to school, how long does it take Diana to walk to school? All right, so let's first turn these into improper fractions. So 6 1/4. We do 6 times 4 is 24, plus 1 is 25 fourths, because we keep the denominator, and 3 2/4. So remember, 3 2/4 is the same as 3 1/2, but if we simplify it now, it'll save us a step in simplifying it later. So I'm going to do 3 1/2, and we're going to turn that into an improper fraction. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 equals 7 halves. Okay, then we do 25 fourths times 7 halves equals 4 times 2 is 8. And then for this, we could just kind of count by 25s. 25, 50, 75, 100, 125, 150, 175. Okay, so 175 eighths. And then we'll do the division real quick. So 175 divided by 8. So 8 will go into 17 2 times. Then we do subtraction, 0, 5. All right, so our whole number okay, so scratch that. I did that wrong. So 7 minus 6 is 1, not 0. Okay, so let's look at that. And then we bring down our 5. Okay, so 8 goes into 15 one time. 8 times 1 is 8. 15 minus 8 is 7. So we have 21 is going to be our whole number. Our remainder is our numerator, so 7. And we keep our denominator as 8. So 21 and 7/8. Correct.